Does 1 crore still feel like a huge, intimidating number? Is building 1 crore rupees possible only for high earners? Can an ordinary investor realistically build 1 crore rupees in 10 years? Why is the first 1 crore considered the hardest, and what changes after that? What does a sensible, realistic 1 crore rupee plan actually look like? Hello and welcome to Investors Hangout, brought to you by Aditya, Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund and Value Research. Now, today we're talking about a number that sits quietly in most investors' mind, the first 1 crore rupees of your accumulation. It sounds a little distant, a little intimidating to many probably. So today we're asking a powerful question. Is building your first crore really that difficult? And if not, how can you do that? And to help us break this down, we have with us our CEO, Dhirendra Kumar. Welcome, Dhirendra.
Thank you.
Let's begin this episode with the psychology behind this 1 crore number. Why does it feels like such a huge amount?
Because it's a huge amount. It has, 7 zeros in it. And it takes a lot of effort, a lot of discipline, a lot of accumulation. And this crore actually meant something like 50 lakh 10 years back. A nice round number, looks like a worthwhile thing. For many, this 1 crore may not be a very meaningful number today. The significance of this number is that once you are able to accumulate up to this point, you have already demonstrated that with small contribution or a small accumulation or your discipline or the result of your savings, putting it to productive use, you have made it meaningful. And then the snowball effect rolls on. Once you have a crore of rupees, you will typically end up having, 8% return, which will be 8 lakh rupees, which will be very sizable. If it is invested in equity, some years it could be even more. So the compounding effect starts getting registered. This is an additional revenue stream for you. You'll be working hard, earning, accumulating, putting it to work. But here is something which is the money working for you. Money working for you becomes significant only you have a sizable money. And till you are working towards that. So it's a worthwhile target to have.
There's also a belief that 1 crore is such a huge number that it's only for people who are in the high salary bracket. Is that true? Any longer?
1 crore could be a scary number for most people and intimidating because you will think that how can I achieve it? If I'm beginning with, a 40,000 rupee salary a month. And even if I'm able to save half of it, how long will it take? It is not about this. It is about working towards it. It is good to have this goal. It is good to have putting your might to achieve that goal. And the moment you do it for 2-3 years, the discipline and all these things combined together and use some of the value research tools to figure out that 20,000 rupees invested every month, increasing by 5 or 10% annually, how long it takes, it will suddenly become realizable. It will suddenly become realistic. Then you will also become a little careful that where to put your money so that it works harder and you are comfortable with the ups and downs or the risks that you are assuming by investing in that. You have these 2 things in place, 2-3 things in place that you understand that you are working towards this goal, what is needed to achieve that, and where to put your money, and you can put up with that. If you are able to put these 3 things, then I think everything else will fall in place. And once you are able to do it for 2-3 years, I don't think you need any prodding.
So if I plan to work towards this goal and want to create this 1 crore corpus, say in 10 years, what does the math look like?
45,000 rupees a month, invested every month for 10 years will make it a crore. It can be modified differently, that if you start with 37,000 rupees a month, increase it by 5%, because life doesn't work or your income does not work in a very nice, smooth, straight line. Even though we are assuming these straight lines or, very standard assumptions. You start with 37,000 rupees, increase it by 5% every year, and in 10 years, you'll achieve it.
So the numbers you've mentioned here, 37,000 every month.
Every month, increasing it by 5% annually.
That itself might sound intimidating to a lot of viewers. They might want to switch off at this point that, this is a huge number in itself. So what would you say to them?
I would say that divide it by 2 and having 50 lakh rupee will not hurt you.
Okay. All right. You often say that the first crore is the hardest. Can you delve into that?
Charlie Munger said it in a very crude way, and I don't want to repeat that. But the spirit of that was that first 100,000 is the most difficult thing. First 100,000 may be very difficult, and that the equivalent of that could be 10 lakh rupees for somebody, it could be 1 crore for somebody, it could be 50 lakh rupees for somebody. But why it is very crucial is when you, in the initial stages, when you're working towards this, your first 10 lakh rupees, first 5 lakh rupees, first 50 lakh rupees, that is the time when you have infinite needs. You have a lot of spending needs, and you will be curtailing on your essential expenses, or important expenses, if not essential expenses, and expenditure, and then putting it to work. But the moment you are able to trigger this 10 lakh, 50 lakh rupees, or 1 crore, I'm just talking of some large number, where the returns on those investments translates into an additional revenue stream which is significant in relation to your income. And so it is like adding an additional revenue stream which will register in your mind that you work all your month or every day for the full month, and you earn this much. To earn this much, you spend this much. And here is money at work which earns you this much. And once that becomes meaningful, then you are at it. Then the value and the meaning of that and the impact of that in your own life changes dramatically.
Right. So this is where it gets more interesting.
Yeah.
What after the first crore?
After that, life gets very easy. Compounding kicks in, and you see the magic of compounding. And then you'll see that your contribution, your incremental investments or savings being put to work, assuming that you are investing 50,000 rupees a month and you have been able to accumulate 1 crore rupee, your new investment will be 6 lakh rupees in a year. And even at 8-10% return on your accumulation so far, that gain return on investment on your accumulated savings will be more than what you are putting. So that is when it has a profound impact on, you have to really experience it, that here is the money which you have worked hard to accumulate, and now it is growing so rapidly, and the snowball effect, and your contribution plus the return, then next year it earns even more. The magic of compounding becomes far more impactful once you have accumulated a sizable capital.
Right. So you mentioned if one is investing 37,000 rupees and increasing the amount by 5%, the person is well on his way to reach 1 crore in another 10 years or so. But where should one be investing that money to reach that goal without a lot of hiccups?
This is a very simple question, that where should you do your SIP? And the answer to this is very complicated. But it's complicated because my answer is different for different kind of people. And different kind of people, that is primarily to negotiate your behavioral or the impact or the kind of the way you will cope with a decline. How important is that money? Because our risk tolerance or our attitude to ups and downs of the market is very different depending on the scale of money, our time frame of investment, and where do we come from, what we have experienced in life so far. So it's a very unusual cocktail of variables which is very difficult to anticipate. But I'll try and formulate a rule for people. If you are a 22-year-old person deciding to choose your SIP, which fund for your SIP, I will divide those youngsters into two parts, into two types. One is that they are themselves in the minority. Most people who are 22-year-old are willing to borrow money to spend it today. So you are in the tiny minority who is choosing to invest for the future. Then comes, broadly, I will divide them into two kinds. One is the person who is spending only 25% of his income and 75% is saved. So he is very well off. His expenses are very low. He lives in his family with his parents, and he doesn't need to spend, and is earning well. That person can well go for aggressive hybrid vehicle, something like a mid cap and small cap and one diversified equity, and that is good enough. A person who is spending 75% of his money as his living expense, for him that 25% residual becomes very important. That person should not be moving anywhere beyond diversified equity or aggressive hybrid fund. He should invest in that money. If you formulate this rule, and it is not about maximizing return or minimizing your risk. It is about finding a vehicle you will be able to ride comfortably. Because the initial years, it is very important to frame a rule or choose a vehicle where you get used to it. It becomes part of your habit, and you are never in a situation that you will be scared out of it. Think of it like, and if I have to advise the same thing for somebody who is 45-year-old and has never invested in a mutual fund, has never invested in stocks, for him, my default will be either a conservative hybrid fund or an aggressive hybrid fund, but never an all equity fund. So it changes depending on your own context. But and first 3 years, choose based on the rating. Start with one fund, keep the discipline, and first 3 years don't look at the values. That's it.
Right. Now, coming to most common mistakes that investors tend to make while on their journey to this 1 crore.
They are the usual one. One is that the moment the market goes down, you get scared. I see most people putting brakes on their SIPs when the market falls. Second is that, looking at your portfolio value every day and getting worked up or getting greedy. Sometimes the market is doing so well that you think that this is money. You are even tempted to borrow money to invest. Never do that. Then choosing the fund, choosing the last year's performance or the most recent good performance and expecting the same return to repeat. And it does repeat for a while. And after that, it does not. And so choosing the best fund is a big trap, because a fund which does exceedingly well, exceptionally well, is doing exceptionally well for a reason. Either it has been very lucky, which means that it can turn unlucky. Second is that it has taken some great risk, and the risk did not show its face. So that risk might turn up, and then you will take a hit. So both ways, the best performing fund, that is a trap. Choosing the best performing fund which has done exceptionally well in recent past may not be a desirable thing. So that's very important to avoid that. And most of the time, people are not used to this kind of accumulation. And if you get very lucky with the market, you started investing, say, 10,000 rupees, and you carried on for 2-3 years, and you invested something like 3,60,000 rupees, but it has become 5-6 lakh rupees. And suddenly you think that life is good, you just consume all of it. You reset, you get down to, so compounding, the magic of compounding and working towards that. And this is where I think linking your investments to a goal, sometimes the goal could be just having the first crore. Having that first crore could be a very important objective, because that is when most other things, because of all your actions, you will become a completely different person financially.
Right. Now, if you had to summarize a sensible 1 crore plan in a few principles, what would they be?
If you haven't started so far, start today. Start with a small amount, because most people find a very, a very legitimate excuse in saying that I'll start investing when I'll have the money, and you'll never have that money. So start with the moment you earn, put earmark a part of it, whether it be 5%, whether it be a defined amount, whether it be 500 rupees, but do it, because you have to experience compounding, you have to experience accumulation. The other excuse is that how will you invest? You don't know how to choose a good fund. Choose an index fund. Start your SIP, automate it, and don't overthink. Don't think too hard about what is happening. You can optimize it, you can maximize it, you can reduce your risk. Just be at it for 2-3 years and everything will be sorted.
All right, so the takeaway is clear. 1 crore is not built overnight. It's not a one big bold step that you take one fine day. It's built quietly, month after month. Stay disciplined, keep investing, and let the magic of compounding kick in. That's all we have for you in this episode. Keep watching the space for more information. If you like the show, do subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.